We are recording now.
So
snobby over there. Are you
yeah. So I do try to, brief the guest on the questions in case they didn't get a chance to look them over real quick or anything I may have added late in the game. So that would be the only thing. Did you get a chance to see those, Allie?
I'm briefed.
You're briefed? Totally briefed? Okay, cool. Is there something that you didn't want to go over on that? Everything looked good there then, I gather, correct?
Well, I figured you guys are the professionals, and I'm a very good talker, so I think we're good. Yeah.
Okay, good. Although I think I am going to ask you just briefly about your what's going on, just any personal notes or any racing notes you might have since I know I was going to ask you about where your place is now in racing and riding and compared to the woman we knew as, winning Unbound and pro roadie, that type of thing. Like, what's your place now? How do you see yourself now? And kind of kick things off that way. And then we'll go straight into the, the meat of the show, as it were.
Well, when's this airing?
I intend to get this one out within, let's see, we just put out the AJA on Thursday, right, Fatty? So probably within 2 weeks.
Okay, so I can tell you guys some exciting news before it's out?
Awesome.
Yeah,
Let's
you
hear
could do
it.
that. Yeah.
And you
we
guys,
can do that.
so you're giving me...
What is the date before which we cannot put this out so we don't...
Wednesday.
Day
Okay,
after
yeah,
tomorrow. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
it won't go
Then
out
you're
before
fine.
Wednesday. Yeah, that's fine. So,
I love riding my bike. I love racing my bike. I have targets on what races I want to compete at, and I'm very community driven, as you guys know. So many of the races I won't race in, but we'll do some amazing activation to bring money into communities, etc., which is super fun. Which we talked about that before, but we sold bandanas through the pandemic, and we kept doing that even last year. And we paced Race the Sun group at Unbound, and so it funded the entire NICA program in Emporia, Kansas, and we worked with Outride. But my exciting news, guys! I am going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame for gravel.
awesome.
Congrats.
Congrats on that. That's cool.
That is amazing.
So my Unbound might look a little different this year.
Okay.
Are you... So you will be riding Unbound this year?
Yeah, I signed up for the 200. I don't know if I'll pace or race because I just need to solidify the details, but there's going to be so much stuff around the Gravel Hall of Fame, and I love bringing money into Emporia to get more kids on bikes and women on bikes. But what? Gravel Hall of
amazing.
Fame.
So how does that work? How does the Hall of
Fatty, are you
Gravel Hall of
recording
Fame-
Audition? Hold on, before we go any further. Are you recording on Audition, or what are you doing right now?
I am
Sorry,
recording.
YouTube, we're gonna...
I'm recording in Audition and in Riverside.
Okay, I'm not doing anything yet, so
No.
maybe I should start recording something.
Can't hurt.
Yeah.
Audio tape's cheap.
Huh? Audio tape? Very good.
You're recording on a reel-to-reel, right?
Me? I wish.
All of us.
I wish I had a reel-to-reel. I would still do that.
You guys are so
Okay.
snobby.
Okay.
Back to me. I'm just kidding.
I actually do have a reel-to-reel here.
Oh, wow.
No, let's see. Here we go. Oh, this is terrible. Okay, never mind. That was a bad idea. Can we cut that out?
No.
No, it's an old reel-to-reel. It used to be my dad's from the 40s.
Oh, that's so cool. I love it.
Okay,
Yeah.
but back to Unbound, Gravel Hall of Fame. We're going to, how do you, maybe, I mean, this is fine for the YouTubers, but I think we want to go into a little more detail on this for the actual show, right?
Okay. All right. You want me to formally kick things off then?
I think we should formally kick this off. and then I wouldn't mind jumping in on that. I mean, the state of career and the state of awards and all that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
Because I want to hear the full story.
Do you want to do a countdown?
Story.
Why don't we do a countdown? Because the audio side, I might need to sync up.
You probably will.
Just do a clap
you mind
with
doing
us.
That with us, Allie?
Allie, when we count down
from 5, and then a clap.
Okay, here it comes. Alison Tetrick interview in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Everyone on YouTube must be so impressed with that, I swear.
We're not that synchronized. We can work on our timing, but
it's true. We are not ready to form a band.
No, we are not.
Or at least none of us would be the drummer. Hottie plays guitar.
Oh.
Yeah, I hack my way through guitar. Let's be clear.
Hottie owns a guitar.
Hottie owns a guitar, right? And he was playing it, or he was attempting to play it just before the start of this podcast, but not for.
Is that why your timing is off? I don't know. It's curious.
Yeah, I should work with the metronome a lot more. You're correct on that, Alison. I should be on the metronome. I could start one right now and do it to the podcast, but it might be a click track in a podcast might be just a tad odd. So,
well, okay. Last year, though, I will tell you at Unbound, I told somebody I am a human metronome on a bike. You are okay. So I'm just saying, sorry.
Tapping out the rhythm, right? Tapping out.
I don't tap. I mash. I mash. I like bulldoze and mash, but I was like, follow me. I am a human metronome on a bike.
So you're like 40 beats per minute, like a real slow beat, like this?
God, I do 70.
Leaving on.
Oh, okay. I did want to tease that out a little bit. So is that your cadence? Are you like a super masher? Is that 70?
I average about 70. When I used to time trial when I was racing road, I was an 80 RPM time trialist. Which Tony Martin did that too, okay, so think about the torque factor on that. Like, I just did bigger gear, I like to feel the tension, and I wanted to feel power. So, different strokes for different folks, but I am a masher for sure.
So, when we have you on the Leadville podcast, I'm going to have you go into that you were going to have to do single speed at this race, because I am the exact same way. That is, I have a very low cadence and all the power in the world. I'm just a super masher like you. So I feel like, we're having a connection here. I need...
But, because so many people are like, you should spin more, especially dudes, when I'm, riding, that they come up on me. They're like, hey, if you tried to up your cadence. I'm like, hey, have you won a world championships?
That's right.
I'll take advice from you after that.
Sorry, that was harsh, but it's cute.
Yeah, not
I'm
at
very
all.
nice.
No, I would have been much worse. Come on, if I had 3 worlds and an Unbound and 10 years on the pro road circuit, I would have unleashed some type of terror on some comment like that. Excuse me? Yeah.
You should try to spin more, should I, bro?
Right.
We got to talk more about. I mean, okay, I'm making a much longer list of things we need to talk about during this episode because,
we have another show, Fatty. We can always go to. You can all go to the other show.
It'll all flow over.
Yeah. It'll all spill over to that other show.
But for this episode, I think Alison Tetrick getting advice from cycle pros is one of the topics we can bring up.
It's sweet. They mean the best. They're like, hey, you should try bike racing sometime. I'm like, really? Yeah. Do you think I'd be any good? It's pretty. I mean, I'm really nice, by the way. They don't mean to. They're being nice. It's just, it's funny to me.
Yeah. Meaning well is not enough. That's no excuse anymore.
But my cadence and seat height, everything always gets adjusted if somebody doesn't know me. Luckily, I live somewhere that most people know me, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
They're like, she's trying. I can tell because her head's tilted to the left, her braid is here. She's drooling like she's trying. Maybe don't give her advice right now.
It's not the time. All right, Adi. I can tell you want to start this show.
Yeah,
he is so ready.
Let me start it properly.
Alison's like, I thought we started the show 20 minutes ago.
I've got thoughts in my head. I want to, okay, how am I going to start this thing? How's it going to go? So here it goes, all right? Okay.
You guys are almost like me and my husband. It's cute.
Yeah? We're close to it, yes. After this many podcasts, we're pretty close.
Oh, yeah, I'm feeling it. Okay, go ahead.
All right, Marginal Gainers. Again, welcome to you and, of course, our guest, Alison Tetrick. Let's check that Palomares, shouldn't we? 10 years as a pro road racer. She won bronze at the UCI World's Road Championship, TTT, Triple T, that's the team time trial. Won the Tour de San Luis, I think I'm pronouncing that right, or San Luis? Probably San Luis, the way it's spelled.
San Luis.
San Luis, winner, folks. That's a stage race. Turned to gravel and then won, not one, but 3 gravel world championships, the original gravel worlds in Nebraska. By the way, SILCA will be there this year. And, of course, won Unbound when it was called that other name. But it's now the Unbound Gravel. She won it in 2017. She was on the podium 2018 and 2019. And this year, as she's already said on YouTube, she's going to be inducted into the Gravel Hall of Fame. Now, going into the Hall of Fame or any Hall of Fame, Allie, can have some overtones. It makes one sound like they're maybe done or nearly done or their career is almost over or in its sunset. So you tell us, Allie, where are you now? After all of this, after the terrific Palomares and all your experience, where are you now in your career? What does racing stand in your career, in your life? Where does writing, where does all of it stand right now? And how does this Hall of Fame sit with you?
And also, welcome to the show.
Oh, hi, guys. Thanks for having me. Well, Hottie's a little stressed because we were talking too much before the show. But I think, though, I don't like calling you Fatty. I like Eldon, but I'll go with Fatty. I don't know. You guys
Eldon's
have nicknames. Fine. Okay. But you get it. Like, you're never done. Like, there's not a done. You know, I watched you, like, riding and racing, and it's always about what you want to do. And that could look like so many different things. So I am not done racing. I will race events that I choose to race because a privilege that I have is I'm able to do events to perform when I want to, and then also do events to support community-driven activation, raise money for local programs, get more kids on bikes and more women on bikes. So I guess, Hottie, it's like I have this beautiful blessing to ride a bike for a living, so I'm going to ride where I want, race when I want, and then also have very good planning in a mission-focused way to do that. So you never know. That's like a fun thing, though. You're like, is she racing? Oh, shoot, she is. You know, like, it could get kind of scary.
Yeah.
But Hall of Fame was amazing. I cried.
And I want to hear a little bit more about that. So what does it mean, you know, as someone who has never been inducted to any Hall of Fames, what does it mean to be inducted to the Gravel Hall of Fame? I mean, to you. To me, oh, God, it was, I scared my husband, for sure, because I started sobbing like a lunatic. So he runs out. He's like, well, who died now? Like, that's horrible, Alison. And then he was like, please never do that again to me. Possibly tell me it's good news before I run out. So that's that. So first of all, warn your loved ones, partners, anyone that lives with you. If you start crying uncontrollably, possibly say, hey, this is good. Heart. Everything's okay.
I did, but
it's a happy cry.
You guys will love it, but so I say we, sorry, but it's as we because it's not just me and my husband, but it's also just this community that supported me for so long in gravel, and they're my family. Christy Moan of Unbound married us, which I say married us, but actually we didn't marry her too. Like, just we got married. So I'm not in a throuple. I might be, but I think she officiated the wedding is the right way. You know, you have Unbound winner Yuri Oswald, who's also being inducted at the wedding. You have Sophia from Gravel Worlds is at our wedding. Our wedding is under 50 people, so it's very small. And so when we got the call, they said, hey, we need to talk to you. And your first thought, too, is like, who died? Mm-hmm. they're like, I'm kind of busy. I have to go for a bike ride. Stressful day. And they're like, cool. I'll call you in like 7 minutes. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'll take the call. Because he's like, it's kind of important. So I was like, I think I have an idea. So they called. But I had my girlfriend, Sophia, who's just been she's a pillar at Gravel World. She's just an amazing human being. And Jason and Corey and Craig and the whole team there, they're just like, hey, we just want to let you know you're being inducted. And it was waterworks, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you don't feel like you're doing enough, like, don't you guys, I lose sleep in the night. Like, am I doing enough? Am I getting more kids on bikes? Am I inspiring the next generation, inspiring current generation, old generation? I don't care. I just want to be doing enough. And somebody's like, hey, you have this acknowledgement that you're trying. Like, that's how I see it. It's like, you're trying.
And I mean, obviously have done a lot. From Hottie at the top, it's not like you have had a trivially amazing career. This is, I wouldn't say it is a cap on that career. However, it's not. It's a hell of a waypoint.
To make a difference to me is the most important.
Yeah.
So, being acknowledged for that.
In addition to getting inducted into the Hall of Fame and her great career on the road and in gravel, Alison has got deep and terrific knowledge on the current state of pro women's racing, both in the dirt and on the tarmac. And that's the other reason why we have brought her on the show, because Fatty and I want to get up to speed on what's going on in pro women's racing. I mean, we saw kind of this explosion last year with women's racing. It was terrific to see them put in the spotlight, especially in France in July. That was awesome. So we decided, Allie, we wanted to bone up. We want to know more about the ladies who are out there laying it on the line, and that's why we brought you on, because you know them all and you keep up with them all, which is great. So let's jump into this, and I want to dive straight in and not ask you so much about the current riders, but let's look a little bit at history. I mean, she's a current rider, but she's done a lot like you, and that is Annemiek van Vleuten, who last year ended the year with the yellow jersey and the rainbow jersey and a whole lot more, plus she has 40 wins to her name. Is Annemiek van Vleuten the GOAT?
Yes, but I think there's room for a lot of GOATs here, and so I had a few ideas. Annemiek is an incredible athlete. I've raced against her for many years. She has declared that she's retiring 100% at the end of this year, which I found a little shocking because we're so close to Paris, personally. She's in her 40s, and she's definitely had a great extension. I don't know. She's just definitely accelerated at like a very, though, reasonable pace throughout her career, from being domestique into winning time trial worlds and road race worlds, and she's an incredible athlete. But I had a few other ideas to throw at you, because but there can be a lot of goats. I don't know how many goats that we're allowed to have in this pasture. But one rider I wanted to make sure we all recognize, which is what made me cry on this other podcast I do to cover the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift, is Marianne Vos.
Sure.
And Marianne Vos was a cyclocross world champion in elites at 19 years old. And she's a 12-time elite world champion, and that includes cyclocross and road. That's a lot, right? Mm-hmm. And a 2-time Olympic gold medalist and 7 times in cross nat. So I know we're speaking specifically to road, but Marianne did put the second yellow jersey on at the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift last year. I'm hoping to see that happen again. And that's where I cried, because this woman never thought she could race the Tour de France Femme. And then suddenly she's 17 world championships in, and she's donning a yellow jersey. Mm-hmm. Not anything against Annemiek. Marianne also won the Giro d'Italia. She's won all the races she was could race when we had it available. And then the one other idea was Pauline Provo. Sorry, I stumbled on the name, but I like to call her PFP.
Yeah.
Because it's Pauline Provo. But last year, she held the World Championships in cross-country mountain bike, World Championships in gravel, World Championships in marathon, and she's the only person, male or female, to ever hold cross-country mountain bike, road World Championships, and cyclocross World Championships at the same time.
Sure. Well, I would say then, I mean, it's my guess, and I was going to ask you, is she the current number one woman in all of cycling?
Pauline?
Pauline.
She needs to get back on the road. She didn't race road last year.
Okay. Fair. Totally fair.
Yeah. But as you guys know, you race all disciplines, but road racing is a very different dynamic. You need a strong team. You need the money and the support to get through that. I think Pauline, she did a phenomenal job when she's racing road, and we know she can still just show up and race, but you still need a team to provide those resources for you. You can do a national team. Yolanda Neff won a stage race last week, and we know Yolanda's a phenomenal mountain biker and road racer, etc., cyclocross as well. But she showed up with her Swiss national team. So road racing requires those resources to be able to show up.
Okay, excellent. Then, well, yeah, Annemiek and Marianne and Pauline. Sounds like those are our goats for now. I mean, obviously, as Allie said, the pasture can be bigger, and we hope to see maybe a Kate Courtney jump in there someday. Kate's a neighbor of Allie, so. Yeah. Who knows? I'm a big Kate fan. So let's continue on with talking about the Pro Peloton, because, again, I mean, outside of a few names, I mean, I'm kind of wondering about who's who, and I'd like to get an idea of who is in the top five and who you think should be recognized as being in the top five, because sometimes the numbers don't always tell the whole story. Sometimes there's some hidden gems in there who really are excellent riders, and maybe for one reason or another they haven't cracked that top five. So. Give us the top five women in pro road racing right now, and then give us Allie's top five if any of those are different.
Wait, I have to go first, or I thought I got to go second?
No, you get this. This show is 90% about you. This is about what you know, because the two guys here on the other end of these microphones, we're the ding-dongs. We have no idea what we're talking about.
Questions, but no answers.
Yeah.
Okay, so I couldn't limit it to five, but I'm close. I think, though, like you were right, Hadi, that we need to start initially at Annemiek van Vleuten. With her winning past, through injury and setbacks and bad luck, etc., she has won on the biggest stages that we've ever had in women's cycling. So I rank her number one. I've got Marianne Vos there, of course, because, God, you can't win 17 world championships. These are elite UCI world championships in every single discipline, and not be recognized. And she's still young, and she's been racing, oh my goodness, her first world championships, 19, guys, 19.
Amazing.
Now I'm going, though, to some other heavy hitters. So Ellen van Dijk. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ellen van Dijk. She's also Dutch, which I know is going to be a question later. Ellen van Dijk is a 3-time world championship in the time trial. She also has the current hour record, which is over 50 kph. And if I had to sign one rider to be my teammate, it's Ellen van Dijk, because I think you can have a team of 6 or you can have a team of 2, and I'd be like, yes, just take Ellen. Let's do it. The team is Ellen. I think I'm good. Also, which we can touch on later, is Ellen just announced she's pregnant, but she's due in September, and so we can talk about that. But I think she's still hoping to perform at Paris 2024, which is awesome, and a huge movement in the women's peloton to allow maternity leave, which is exciting. This is my husband's favorite rider. I'm not jealous at all. No, I'm just kidding. I love her. I've raced with her. Oh, I've raced against all these people so long. But Elisa Longo Borghini, which we called the Lamborghini. That's what we call her. Because, yeah, Elisa Longo Borghini. Okay. She's okay with it. She's told me. I've raced against her for many years. And 2 times at the Olympics, she's a bronze medalist. She races for Trek Segafredo as well as Ellen. And she's won classics. You know, she's won Flanders, always won like a lot of national championships in the road race and time trial in Italy. And then she won just recently the UAE Tour, which was the first time we've had a UAE Tour for women. But Lamborghini, we like her because she just attacks and doesn't look back. Like, she's just explosive. Like, she's everything I hate about a rider. She's just like, wah, wah. You know what I mean? Those surges that you ride with? Like, that's how Lamborghini races. She's like, what? 12% grade? I go hard.
All attacking all the time.
All attacking all the time. You're right, because she is amazing. So I think we're going to see some more big things from her. As she already has a huge Palomars, and I was so excited to watch her win UAE because she gets a lot of second and third places, but for her to actually win an overall was incredible. And then I know you told me 5 guys, but I'm having a hard time with this. Okay. So I have like a tie going on. So I wanted to throw some American riders that are my favorites. I love Corinne Rivera, who's now Corinne Lebecki. She recently got married. She's won Flanders as well. And she is just a huge talent, also like a very dear friend of mine. But she's just out there. She's leading out. So she gets to race with Marianne Vos. She gets to work really hard and also has a hell of a punch sprint.
Yep.
Love her. Won national championships here in the U.S. A huge talent. And yeah, she's had a rough couple of years, you know, through COVID. Her father passed away, and that's just been just like very hard, but she is a fighter, and I think she's just one of our best talents we have. On the other American front, Taylor Wiles, also a dear friend. She's in Fairfax in Cape Courtney Land, Hottie, so there you go. And her wife just had a baby, and she's out there racing with her young child, and that's awesome. And she's on Trek Segafredo, and Taylor is a consummate teammate. And she won some stages at Tourigan, big races. Oh, it's amazing. And sorry, it's now a third. I know that's like still 5, I think. It's Cecile Ludwig. And she's this amazing Danish. So if you guys ever want to watch the best post-race interviews, please watch Cecile being a dead fish. Because she got 3rd place at Flanders. But, I'm talking about Corinne that won Flanders, but then you have Cecile, who's this Danish rider, who gets 3rd, but she is the happiest 3rd place rider you've ever seen. She was like, I was like one big dead fish, and she's telling the story, and she's very expressive. And that is why we love women's cycling. I was like, I love a happy placed 3rd.
Yeah.
She was like, then we went full gas, and then I was dying, and then I died, but I got 3rd. I was like one big dead fish. It's very cute. I'm not doing a good job, but that was my tie of 3. I'm sorry. That was too much.
That's okay.
I kind of want to pull the lens back for a second, and because I think the point that you're making is an interesting one, is the reactions, the expression, the way that people behave about and within women's cycling is different. And I'm not, without getting too much into the whole gender differences, why is it different like that?
Oh, it's for the passion. Like, it's literally for the passion, because when I was racing in the U.S., you know, blah, 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 whatever, and then they're like, well, when you go to Europe, it's going to be really hard because they need to race for a living. And so this is my side of the story. And then I went to race in Europe because I left my team and I went and raced for Astana. And I'm racing on Astana, and my Italian team director, I'm the only woman on the team that speaks English. You know, it's like a very interesting situation and beautiful, the most beautiful situation. And my director looks at me one day. He's like, Alison, I love this. You race for the passion, not for the money. Because that was what I was doing, because I was like, I'm so excited. But I think women, like, it's so special, and especially and which we can like branch into, but for me to race on that stage, I was just so passionate about it. And I was just excited to be there. And I don't want to downplay that, you need equity, et cetera. I'm just saying, like, I was just so excited to be there. So I was like, sweet, I'm here. I will perform. Oh, I sucked. That's awful. Whatever.
I love that you're starting to speak a little bit with an Italian accent when you were in Italy there. You're bringing just a little bit of that in.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it goes back to when you're fighting hard for this equity in a sport that has been predominantly male dominated, which I'm not saying is good or bad, well, whatever. But once you get to this stage, you just want to perform. Mm-hmm. And you are just so excited. And you're like, when I got, I can't swear on this podcast, but
I think actually you can.
Okay. So I was racing Flanders, and my teammates don't really speak English that well, but they're like, it's the best fucking race in the world. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll get really excited because we got to race Flanders, right? The same day as the men, which is as it should be. But we got to race the best bike race in the world, which I'm still going to think Flanders is the best bike race in the world. Especially to race. You guys got to smell that beer and brats and, like, all those hills. Like, it's the best bike race. I was just so pumped. Like, I didn't even care. I was just like, don't get dropped. Like, just finish. I mean, I raced, and I had a great time. I think I got, like, 28th. But I had a great time.
Yeah, you were there. You were bringing the passion for it. And I think that is... I love seeing it, for one thing. But I do want to talk a little bit about the equity and the hurdles. I don't know if you even know this, Alison, but my daughter is a young pro cyclist now. And
Yay!
She is, Melissa Rollins, Team 2024, check it out. She
rocked Leadville.
Yes, she did. Leadville and the Lead Boat actually are kind of what caught folks' attention in 2021. So, yeah, super proud of her.
That's your daughter? I had no idea.
Yes, that's right.
So, my God, she's a star. I've met her.
This is going to absolutely make her day to hear this. But the reason she is able to be a pro cyclist is because she is also a chemist and works full-time at a lab. It doesn't even remotely come close to paying the bills. I think and of course, Phil Guyman's famous book on, pro cycling on $10 a day. It's not like there is necessarily a gender inequity, but I think it is worse for women. How do we get past that?
I think, by the way, your daughter's a rock star. She's very nice. I gave her a hug at Sea Otter last year. I was very proud of her. I did not put that together. With women, I worked full-time throughout my professional career as well. Mm-hmm. I come from a biochemistry background and then into a bunch of other gigs. But you and she have the same background. That's crazy. Yeah, she's also a biochemist. Okay, interesting. Then I went to clinical psychology and I went to exercise physiology. I'm a science dork, so we can dork out on this. But I think the biggest thing we can do is about the concept of visibility is viability. Mm. So the more we can showcase women at their greatest moments or not greatest moments, that's fine too, because that's reality. But it's like click, like, subscribe. I don't know how else to say it. It's just like if you follow a female cyclist that you like just follow and hit like and keep building this brand, share, continue this space to be able to make them visible. And then on my side of things in my day job, I can work on media rights and sponsorship dollars and ways to keep promoting this sport. So people that are listening to this podcast can be able to watch, because the bike race doesn't really happen if you can't watch it at the highest levels. We can all do local races that no one cares about. I get it. But I'm talking like we want things on the big screen, and we're seeing this in women's soccer right now. They sold out these stadiums, and they have to rent the men's stadiums for the women's match because now people care. And I think that is just a matter of being like, hey, did you guys want to watch this? And people are like, yes. And they're like, oh, shoot, we don't have enough room. So that was like probably the most poignant point for me analyzing the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift last year was the fact that the coverage, albeit wasn't complete, I understand, but we have drones, helicopters, motos, and I can see the racing. And so we want to watch that. And then it's up to the viewers and anyone listening, and then tell your friends and then their friends, but then to keep watching and liking and subscribing. Because we need to show that women's sports is a viable option. But that starts in the community, and it also starts with professional athletes like advocating for it, which is what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. When we watch some of the stage races, specifically the Tour, one thing you'll notice right away is not as many stages for the women, and the stages that they race are generally shorter than the men. Is that the way the women want it, or do they want more stages, longer stages?
I might take a gut punch for this, but I don't think so. There's different opinions for everybody here. Some athletes that might excel at longer stages would advocate for that. Some athletes that want a sprint finish are going to advocate for that. So there's that whole situation. However, I played tennis in college, you guys. So I played NCAA tennis. I'm an All-American. And women's tennis is 2 out of 3 sets. Men's tennis is 3 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying we can't complete those stages, but in order to complete the men's version of the Tour de France, we would need more money and more training opportunity and to grow that. But the women are, from all my friends in the peloton that I've heard from so far, very happy with the current situation. It's more about the equity. And equity isn't equality, right? Equity is about providing resources for this group of people to excel at what they're doing. And I think to build the equity is the first part of it, and then equality could be later if that's where we go, or do we? I don't know. Mm-hmm. But prize money is a thing. Equal pay is a thing. I 100% support that, but I don't think we need to be like, hey, you guys go out and ride 212 miles today, it'll be amazing. Yes, we can do it physically. Our ovaries will not fall out. We'll be fine. We can do it. But how do we make this viable? And I think women's cycling at this moment, and same with do you tell Serena Williams that she doesn't play a good tennis match? Do you guys all tune in? I do. It's mother effing brilliant, right? And Federer is amazing too, or Nadal, or whatever, right? I think Federer retired. I have no idea. But, but don't compare men and women. It's a different expression of a beautiful sport. And I think women's cycling has been behind the ball in getting this equity part, right? And the visibility to make our sport viable. So I think let us grow into that space and then decide what our athletes want, because they could we do have a union, but they could decide what they want. Do they want 21 days? Do they want 14? Do they want 37 days? I don't care. Let them race, but let's first make our sport equitable and showcase it, and then let the athletes decide once we can build the sport that way. So I want to bolster it more from the bottom to the top, but I could be wrong. I don't know what you guys think about it. I'd be interested.
This show spends a lot of time talking about equipment, gear, and most of that centers around what the men are riding on the Pro Tour, right? They're the ones getting all the marginal gains, or at least most of them from our vantage point. They're the ones getting 4 bikes or whatever it takes. How is it for the women? Are they being supplied adequately, Are their needs being paid attention to? Are they seeing some of the marginal gains and some of the interest that the men get? At least some, maybe not all.
I think so. I'm 100% a bike dork, by the way. So any bike dork questions, please send them my way. What I have been seeing, full disclosure, sponsored by Specialized Race for them, but we do a lot of product development, and I am so deep into product development for women and men, and male cyclists. But I think there's some certain discrepancies you just have to acknowledge is when make the changes when gender matters and then don't when it doesn't. So I don't want to wear your chamois, Hottie.
Right.
I don't either, for whatever that's worth.
But, we used to tag these bikes if they're 49 or 51 or something, and they're like, oh, this is a women's bike. It doesn't matter, right? How long your arms, how long your legs, how long is your torso, this is the bike for you. So gender doesn't matter on a frame. Possibly it matters on a saddle, a chamois. Shoes for me, I'm actually quite tall, and I ride a 56 centimeter bike. I am not a small person. I'm very leggy and tall. But so change, I think, the matters where there are touch points where gender makes a difference. So I think the bike industry has done a relatively good job in the last several years to change where, this is a women's bike, this is a men's bike. I'm like, no, it's just a bike because it's geometry. Mm-hmm. And then there's some touch points in the saddle. Chamois, 100%. I would like a women's chamois. I've gone to the aero tunnel quite a bit, Hottie, and I can geek out on aero all the way. I've aero barred a whiskey flask on my freaking gravel bike because I was like, yeah, this is cheap, right? I'll just see where I should put my flask. Should it be? So I think the women are getting that support, especially we were talking earlier. One of my favorite riders, my top 5 is Ellen Van Dyke, plus the other extra I added in, but world record holder at the speed that she can ride. That is money going into her fit and her, cadence and all that, exercise physiology and everything that goes into that. So I think it's there, and especially because a lot of these big women's teams are also a part. Well, it's the same team, but they're a part of a conglomerate of men's teams. So you have Trek Segafredo, you have Movie Star, you have, so there's resources to go around. And, frankly, guys, I think the women, might win more.
That's right.
Did I just say that?
You did.
I kind of want to go back to the whiskey flask in the aero tunnel.
I did. I was like,
exactly. How many watts does that save? Because I think we're going to see a lot more. Sure, there's an aero advantage, but then you start swerving as you ride.
Oh, that's a good point.
Seems like it could be a problem.
Well, this audience loves to root for the geeks on bikes, especially the pros, and we know who the men are, like Alex Dowsett, who just retired, about Filippo Ganna, Victor Campenaerts. These are pro geeks who get into it. So give us one or two on the ladies' pro women's side.
I think I don't mean to keep repeating this, but I'm going to go back to Ellen Van Dyke, considering she just crushed this hour record. And Trek Segafredo had an amazing post where she's in her time trial bike. She's our current world champion in the time trial, and they put a little baby cart in the back, of her bike, and they photoshopped it in. But she cares. Anna Meek obviously is a super geek about it. She's constantly training in Colombia, Tenerife. That woman is never in the Netherlands, right? She is just, she's just looking for gains. She's training with Rigoberto, and something about her is she's always trained with the men's teams, and she's staying with them. And these are her big days, but it's super impressive to watch. Yeah. And then one other rider, because the Italians, I know we're going to talk a little Dutch in a bit, but Italians are really good with their camaraderie, and they're just so good. And Elisa Balsamo was our world champion in 2021, and she's also a world champion on the track, and she's like, I don't know, 12. No, I think she's like 21. She's very young. She's so young. She like sent me a fan card, you guys, when I was racing, and I sent her a jersey. And then suddenly, like, she's winning, and I was like, oh.
I mean,
we're good friends. We have good pictures together.
For sure. I mean, but that's got to feel kind of, a little bit odd having folks who were kids, sending you fan mail back in the day, now, absolutely dominating the sport like that. I mean,
it's beautiful. That's like, it's everything that's what I want to do with my career right there.
I love it.
So, Annemiek van Vleuten, Ellen van Dijk, two Dutch women. When I watched the Cyclocross Worlds this winter, it was just filled with flags from the Netherlands. Allie, what is going on? What is the Dutch secret here? I mean, they are just everywhere, all over, especially the women's side. What is the Dutch secret?
Is there a thing to like call systemic cycling? I don't know. Sorry, is that you can delete that if that's not appropriate. But like, they grow up on bikes and they're so good in all these disciplines. They have a great team camaraderie, and it's very flat there, but they have to ride really hard because wind and weather. But there's something about this whole culture there. So it's like cycling culture. But I wanted to throw out a few chinks in the armor I've seen there. Which, if you look at the Olympics, World Championships, like, yes, they won the World Championships this year with Annemiek. But Olympics last time they didn't win, and they arguably 100% had the strongest team. But when you don't have a key leader, because they're all so strong, so sometimes I do notice that they're not all in for one leader because they all arguably can win. So that was just an idea.
Well, the Belgians can do that too. I mean, they can get on top of each other and not decide who the leader is, and then foul the whole thing up. I mean, we've seen that happen with them before, too.
You guys see the Strade Bianche women's race?
Did not.
Oh. They sprinted each other. And they were teammates. Wow. Okay. We'll talk about that later. But that's
more to learn. Episode 2.
You guys, I can get you there. But, yeah. So I think if you just have, it's technically Belgian and Dutch, but same team on the road. So anyway, but I have seen some chaos because if you don't have a designated leader. So what I noticed in the Olympics, they didn't bring up Ellen van Dijk, which is why I have her in my top 5, which is technically 4 because I added all my extras. You need a leader, which is like, you guys do group rides, right?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I like a ride mayor. Like, just the ride mayor is like, we're going to stop. You guys got 3 minutes, or this is the sprint. And so teams require that as well. You need to ride like a team captain or however you want to call it. And we were missing, or I'm not Dutch. I don't know why I just went Dutch. But in the Olympics, I think they were missing Van Dijk there because she could be like, this is the plan. Right. And instead, everyone's like, well, I could win. Like, I could win too. I could win, and it was a little discombobulated, but they're all amazing athletes. It's not their fault. There's no radios. It's very difficult. So, but they are an incredible powerhouse and the best nation in cycling, and I love them.
Let's turn it on the USA then. How's the United States doing? How is USA cycling doing in this area of finding talent, developing talent? What's going on there?
I think we're doing a much better job. I do serve on the board of USA Cycling. I have since 2015. That's a long time, I know. But right now, we're doing some incredible jobs. So I told you my favorite riders. But we're also doing a search for the next best track sprinter. So we're down at the LA Velodrome. Wattbike's a sponsor of that, and then Look Bicycles. And they're going to high schools down in Compton and LA and just getting any kid to get on a bike and just see what their power is and bringing them into this program, which is awesome. You guys have to check that out. It's so cool. And then you have other great programs like NICA, which is the National Interscholastic Cycling Association. I give a lot of money to them per year to get more kids on bikes. But that's where Kate Courtney comes out of. That's where, we have Haley Batten out of that. It's just a safe place for kids to ride on a closed course that's not really bike racing focused. It's about the community, and then you get a couple hitters out of there. I think you're doing a good job.
Yeah. That is where Melissa started. That is where, if I'm recording here in Utah, where there are just hundreds, literally, of kids on every trail. And it's not like they're all going to wind up racing, but they are all winding up as committed riders. So yeah, your heart is absolutely in the right place, as seeing this as a place to raise up an amazing generation of American cyclists, women and men.
Yeah, Nielsen just got 6th, and we got another top. He got 9th at some Paris-Nice, Matteo. And those all came from NICA as well, like on the men's side. So we have a huge crop, but I think it's fostering safety and community and support as these athletes are allowed to learn skills and foster. I didn't do that, obviously, because I came from tennis, but I like to support. No, I'm terrified of everything on a bike, as you know, which that will be a different podcast. But I think that's an amazing opportunity. Just where, racing isn't the focus. However, just do your best version of you, whatever that looks like, which is pretty much how I wake up in the morning. I'm like, what do I look like? What can I do, Alison?
Clearly
let's turn this onto a gravel road then, and go searching for the top women in gravel now. Something Fatty and I probably have a little more knowledge of, but we're going to turn it over all to Allie, since she has won 3 gravel worlds and the Unbound. So, Allie, it's a little harder to find rankings, official rankings in gravel, but we're just going to rely on your knowledge here. Who are your top 3, or if you have more than 3, if you can't decide on 3, that's fine, women of gravel racing right now?
You might be shocked, but I decided on 3.
Okay.
Wow.
There's not even extra credit. I know. I think you have to go with, at least for the U.S., our number 1 right now is Sophia Gomez Villafan. And she's not American. However, she won Unbound last year. She just won BWR Arizona last week. She Lifetime Grand Prix winner. She is on fire. She's crushing it. She's actually a professional mountain biker for Specialized, and that's no bias there, although I do really like her. But she's just showing her dedication to the craft. And it's funny too, because she admits she doesn't really like gravel racing, but she signs up for Lifetime Grand Prix. She can do well. At Leadville, she gave her wheel away to her teammate and then DNF'd, which she would have been great at, but you can see how good she is. She can win. Oh my goodness. So right now, I think she's our current highest ranked, and gravel is a little still North American dominant. I couldn't help but not put our friend Pauline Provo, because she did win the real UCI Gravel World Championships with all of the other World Championships with all of the other cross country, marathon. She's held world. She doesn't. That was her first gravel race, so she showed up. She waxed it. She did amazing. And that was her 4th world championship that year, and she's just has her cute little fluffy dog and bunny rabbit, and she's just I don't know, it's another day in a life of Pauline, which is amazing because I would like that life. And then 3rd, I have Lauren DiCrescenzo. She won Unbound 2 years ago. She just won Mid-South a couple days ago. Also is 2-time SBT winner. So for the North American, it's hard to beat her. She's got a good team around her if you want to make gravel teams. And she's doing well. Like, there's not a lot of races she won. She's won 2 gravel worlds, so I'm still one up on her, but
Yeah.
I'm feeling that heat, you know, like under my, I don't care really, but I don't care that, no, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not like stressed about it. I'm just like, go girl, you go.
Yeah, Lauren is decided to do much less road racing this year and focus on gravel and mountain biking as well, which she's new to. She's really new to it. So she's been forcing herself out there onto the mountain bike, working on the mountain bike quite a bit because she's also doing the Lifetime Grand Prix. She actually sat out last year, didn't do it, and instead kind of took a distant look at it just to make sure that, okay, that's something I can do. So less road racing for Lauren this year, more gravel and more, obviously more mountain biking because she's in the Grand Prix, so she'll have to mountain bike as well. I'm going to throw a couple names your way. And you mentioned earlier about, you know, one of the great things about the women racers is their joy of the sport. Like they have no problem expressing their joy. The men can be very stoic, right? We're dudes. We don't want to express too much, right? The women are great at it. Like when they're happy, they let you know it. When they're sad, you can see it. So there's 2 in particular I just love to watch smile and race, and that is Sarah Sturm, who last year at Leadville could have just said, get the hell out of here to me, but instead sat and talked to me for 20 minutes about her day at Leadville, which involved puking and running into a cow. She was terrific about it. And she thought she could win that race and probably could have, except for those 2 incidents. So, big fan of Sarah Sturm. Big fan of Hannah Finchamp Auto, too, who
she's so lovely.
Yeah, who has won the Mid-South, who won Leadville last year. Great smile, great attitude. And another one for great attitude, a lot of fun to follow, is Rebeccaferringer, who comes from cyclocross.
Rebecca.
And it's just a lot of fun to watch. Now, she hasn't won much on the gravel side.
She won BWR Kansas last year.
Right. She won BWR Kansas last year, but it's, again, another fun one to watch. So I feel okay stepping into the top 3 women in gravel. I'm not going to say that they're the best. I'm going to say those are the people I like to watch.
Rebeccaferringer is very irreverent, and I love it.
Love her YouTube.
Oh my God.
Like and subscribe that, right?
Yes. I'm like, because I have been with her, like, we're swinging on a swing. I don't know why we're swinging on a swing. Oregon Trail gravel grinder is why we're swinging. And she's swiping through Tinder, and we are in this, like, I don't know, somewhere in Oregon that, like, maybe don't Tinder. But it was so fun. And she's just like, she does not take herself too seriously. No. And she, like, irreverent is a nice way, like, to say that she is mother effing awesome.
So let's go back to parity and parcourse and all that, you know, courses and starts. How do you think, what are you hearing about, first of all, making separate start times for women? Is that going over well or not?
I think it's probably a split decision. However, there are a multitude of women and people in general just excited about that opportunity. It'll 100% flip the race dynamics on their head because your tactics have to change. So for those listening, gravel races tend to start, mass start. Yeah, sure, you're a pro woman, pro man, whatever, you get called up. You're at the front of the race, but you're starting with like over 2,000 people, which is, by the way, terrifying. Because every guy, I don't mean to, sorry guys.
No, it's true.
Every person thinks they're going to be a world champion. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to just get out of my way just for a second. But I'm not like, I'm nice. So I'm like, well, I'm kind of scared. So I think it'll change the dynamic of the race quite a bit. Most races are keeping the mass start, which I like because recently I did an event that they separated the start, and I just knew no dude was going to catch me, which meant I had a long day alone. I was like, I just want to ride with friends. So it had nothing to do with the women tactics for me. I was just like, I don't want to do this. But I think for safety, that's a nice space. And there's the beautiful thing about cycling is if you're riding a bike, you're doing it right. So we don't need to sit here and like always analyze what's wrong with this system and why. And certain events can change how they start it. So Unbound chose this year to separate the men, and I think the women are 5 minutes behind, which I was like, well, maybe I'll actually race. Sounds less scary. And then like the 8,000 people are behind you. I was like, okay, it's nice. So that's great. That's their choice. Other events can choose to do the mass start, and you can, as an athlete, also decide which event you want to do based on what rules and safety parameters you want. Back to the beauty of cycling, and if you're riding a bike, you're doing it right, is that there's always space for these like top pro events that are going to showcase professionals. And then you have other events that are allowed to do as grassroots. You have to do a beer pong or something like at mile 35. I have no idea. I just made that up.
Rock cobbler.
But like,
yeah.
yeah, like a rock cobbler, right? Like there's space for grassroots, there's space for pro, and then you can just, if you're a pro, like, you can have fun wherever you want. And I don't think we should overanalyze it, but then you, as a racer or a participant or whatever, you can decide what you want to do. And I do like that idea. I wish I did it last year because of my course record at Unbound would have been fine. I have the second fastest time at Unbound until, well, it was the first until last year when Sophia waxed it, which is amazing. Props to her. But like following men is like, it's very fast. So I don't know. It's different strokes for different folks. I think rider safety is paramount. And some of these races are getting so big that do you really want to look back and you're like, holy.
Yeah. It's like you're being chased down by a crazy herd. It can be a little terrifying.
Yeah, I call them bowling balls. Bowling balls are just coming for me. I'm like, oh gosh, that's my Leadville strategy. But that's a different podcast.
It is a different podcast, and we will talk more about that there. But let's talk about you and where things are now. So, I mean, what is next for you?
Oh, next is
or now.
Yeah, now. I mean, I am really excited to keep working in this sport, which I find a complete blessing to be able to help others, inspire, work in product development, incredible partners that I love and trust, pick races that I want to race. I won a gravel race already this year in Oklahoma, the Oklahoma Gravel Growler, and that was fun just to like go out and try. And that's all my husband told me. He's like, just please try, Alison. Just try. I was like, okay. No, and that's so fun, though, to try. Like, and that's why we ride bikes, is to try. And then trying can also be just showing up to a start line when you're feeling vulnerable. It can be helping your community to get more Elisas out on bikes and the next generation and giving people time and acceptance. So I think there's so much opportunity there. But yeah, we're going to, I say we, sorry. I got married now. It's like the royal we, because I can't do anything alone, apparently. I have this great local gravel race series here, the Grasshopper Adventure series, which is amazing. He's also being inducted, Mig, in the Hall of Fame. He's incredible. I know you guys are hearing this now, but don't post this yet. We'll go to Gravel Locos in Hico, Texas, which we love, our irreverent Cuban. And then we're going to go, Unbound, figuring out what the strategy is, if maybe I pace and keep bringing money into that program, which would be super cool. Finland.
Oh, wow.
FNLD.
Yeah. Valtteri Bottas's race. Nice, yeah. And Tiffany Cromwell. We should get Tiffany in that, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. So we're going to head there, and we have the Dino race in Utah. Oh, I need to send you that.
Heck yeah.
And then we're going to Oregon Trail Gravel Grinder again. It's amazing. And then Gravel World. So it's like a typical gravel year. Bovine Classic out here in like California. Like there's just so much. So it's just depending on where you want to race and where you want to focus your efforts, because I think I've raced a lot in the last 12 years, and to me it's about where I can also make a difference. And cycling has given me so many good friends and family and the ability to give back. So I think giving back to me is paramount.
Love it. Allie, it's such a joy having you on. Thanks so much.
I'm a talker. I'm sorry.
All right. I think that is it. I think that's a great place to wrap.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, I like how you did that.
Anything
Awesome.
anything we should have got that we did not get?
We'll
I
put it
think
in the
you're
Leadville
fine
show.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if we have a
That's
Leadville
true.
show, we can do other things. Yeah.
Lots more there. Okay, fantastic. Here, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.
Oh, you guys are so good. So pro.
So pro.